Hello, everyone. My name is Noemi Garcia Tagorda. I'm the Associate Dean here at the USC Financial Aid Office, and I want to thank you for joining us today to learn more about financial aid for graduate students at USC. Before I begin, I would like to introduce the great team that we have assembled here for you today to answer any questions you might have about financial aid. So first, we'll start with the team over here. We have Cody and Jose. You guys mind introducing yourself?
Sure. My name is Jose Hernandez, and I'm working here as Associate Director of Loans at USC.
Hi, everybody. My name is Cody Busia, and I'm an Assistant Director here in the Financial Aid Office in the Aid Coordination Unit.
We have Danny.
Hi, everyone. My name is Danny Finley. I'm an Assistant Director in the Outreach Unit here at USC.
And Jesse and Lori.
Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Medina and I am Associate Director of Outreach. Welcome.
And I'm Lori Council. I work in Student Financial Services as a supervisor.
Great. So I'm going to start with an introduction about how to apply for financial aid at USC. But while I'm doing that, I'm hoping that everyone who's viewing today can submit your questions using a little app that looks like a Rubik's Cube at the top right corner of the Hangout. Go ahead and submit any question you might have about financial aid applying, or if you're a current student, maybe any question you have right now about your aid. So let me tell you a little bit about how to apply for financial aid. It's actually really simple, and the process is essentially completely online. The first thing you need to do is submit the free application for federal student aid, also known as the FAFSA. You've probably heard about it before or familiar with it. Go ahead and go to FAFSA.gov and you enter your information there. Most graduate students will only be submitting information about themselves. You don't necessarily need to provide information about your parents. So go online, get it done. It's free, so it will take a little bit of time, but it's fairly simple to do. The next thing you'll need to do is let us know how many units you will be applying for how many units you will be enrolled in when you're here at USC. So that may be something that perhaps you don't know just yet. Maybe you're not sure if you're going to be full-time or part-time, or how many units your program might require of you. So what I encourage you to do before you submit what is called the enrollment and housing form is check in with your department and ask them, how many units should I be enrolled in? What should I expect during my first 2 terms at USC? Once you have that information, submit the enrollment and housing form, and you'll essentially be ready to go. Well, at USC, when it comes to graduate students, most of the aid actually all the aid that the Financial Aid Office provides to students is federal loans. So if you're interested in other sources of funding, we do encourage you to look at first your department to see if they might be able to provide you with any form of gift aid or scholarships. And secondly, of course, to look at other outside scholarships to see what might be available to you in your area of study. So since we are primarily responsible for loans, federal loans, I'm going to ask Jose to tell us a little bit about what the loan process is all about.
Thank you, Noemi. So yes, once you receive your financial aid offer letter, as Noemi mentioned, you'll likely see the unsubsidized direct Stafford loan. Unsubsidized meaning that there's no interest, or there is interest being accrued at the moment that it's dispersed. The application process, similar to the application process for financial aid, is almost completely online. So once you've received your financial aid offer letter, there'll be links to guide you to how to request the loan. Even though it's on your financial aid package, you do have to take additional steps in order to receive those funds. So you would log on to FAST, so your financial aid summary and task form, and you would submit a Stafford Loan Request Form, or otherwise known as an LRS. Once submitted to our offices, we will process that and send you a confirmation, and then you will proceed to go to studentloans.gov to go ahead and sign a master promissory note, which is essentially a contract between yourself and the lender showing that you will pay back the loan once it's time for repayment. Additionally, what you'll also need to do is entrance loan counseling, and that's also something that you'll be able to do on studentloans.gov. Once these steps have been taken care of, then the funds will be dispersed into your student account, applying to any direct fees that you have to pay for. Additionally, there is 2 other types of loans that you may be potentially seeking in order to because there are limits or caps to the amount of Stafford loan or direct unsubsidized loan that you'd be receiving, you may supplement that with an additional loan known as a Graduate Plus loan. Now, this loan, there is a small credit check with it involved, but the process is essentially the same. You would apply for the loan on studentloans.gov. You will also have a master promissory note as well as entrance loan counseling for the Graduate Plus loan before those loans are dispersed. There is additionally private financing if for one reason or another a Graduate Plus loan isn't an option, but I do want to highly encourage that if you do, before you seek out private financing, to contact our office and work with us in order to ensure that we've maximized all your potential resources before you seek that out. Just because unlike the unsubsidized student loan and the Graduate Plus loan, the interest rate's a little variable or can vary for the private loan. But all of this information is on our website, and we have people here, including ourselves, that'd be happy to help you and walk you through that process. One thing that I do want to mention for the graduate students that are coming that may already have undergraduate student loans, one thing that you want to be sure of is once you've registered and enrolled in your coursework, note that our office will inform the National Student Loan Database of your enrollment so that any payments that you have to make on your undergraduate loans are deferred. So there isn't any follow-up that you necessarily have to do on that, and we'll be sure to, once you're enrolled, send that information over so that your loan payments for your undergraduate loans, if you happen to have them, or for your other graduate loans that you might have had, are deferred.
Thank you, Jose. I really appreciate that. I actually want to get back to something that I forgot to talk about, which is our financial aid summary and tasks page. Jose mentioned it. Thank you so much for the reminder, Jose. And it's really the place that you want to go to in order to submit any information that we might ask for you. So the FAFSA is done at FAFSA.gov, but once you've done that, you're going to go to financial aid summary and tasks page, where you will see what documents we might need from you, what the next steps might be for you in terms of your aid dispersing once you received your financial aid summary. Your financial aid summary will be there. So it's a really great place to go to in order to just get a sense of a summary and what other tasks you might be responsible for. So be sure to visit that webpage, which is available off of the financial aid website at USC. So I also want to invite Lori to tell us a little bit about student financial services and what students might expect as they're going through the process. And again, I do want to invite our viewers to submit questions to us using that little Rubik's Cube on the upper right-hand corner of the Hangout page. Lori, please.
Okay, thank you. Basically, I guess our graduate students wouldn't be dealing with financial services until they register for classes and receive a bill, and then you'll be able to make payment. If you are currently registered for classes, the cashier's office is completing the billing process this weekend. So Saturday you'll get an email notification just advising you that there's been activity on the account and to log in to e-pay to view the bill. If you're one of those students that hasn't registered for classes yet, then of course there won't be a bill created until you do so. Unfortunately, if you haven't registered by the 23rd of July, you will not actually have a billing statement. You'll be able to log into e-pay, which is our online billing system, and it's where all the billing information is retained. You'd be able to log into e-pay and view the actual account information. If you're familiar with e-pay, there's a box that says current account information, and then there's a billing box. So you won't be able to have a bill if you haven't registered before July 23rd, but you'll still be able to view your charges. And then if you have questions about making payment, you can certainly contact the cashier's office, but it's really very self-explanatory. On the e-pay page, if you click the Make Payment button, it's going to give you the options to pay either via credit card, or with a deduction from a checking or savings account, or a wire transfer. That's pretty much it. I would say check your email Saturday for the billing statement if you are pre-registered for classes, and that bill, remember, is due by August 19th.
Thanks, Lori. So one question that I have, and maybe Cody can help us answer this question, is is when we do get students applying for graduate loans and they do receive them, when can they usually expect to see that aid dispersed into their account?
Thanks, Noemi. Typically, when students do request, their loans and they're credited into their account, it depends on the time of year. If they're doing it early enough and we get ample notice, it's a pretty quick turnaround. The earliest that the loans will be dispersing for fall semester would be 10 days before the start of classes. So if, depending on the graduate program, depending on when their start date is, it can be unique for different programs. Subtract 10 days from that start date, and that's the earliest they could be dispersed. So you would want to plan accordingly to go ahead and get all of your information and your loan application submitted by that time so that you can ensure it to be dispersed at the earliest time possible. If you don't, it's not a big deal. It can still be coordinated into your account and released, but it is, I think, a little bit probably more assuring if you get things done sooner rather than later.
Great, thank you very much, Cody. So we do have our first question from Annie Lopez, and she's asking about her scholarship not being available or not visible on USC yet. I'm gonna see, does anyone want to answer that question? Danny, want to maybe answer that one, or?
Sure, I can answer it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, Annie, so when you do get a scholarship from a USC department, the department actually has to notify the financial aid office by entering your scholarship into our system. Most likely, your department just hasn't entered that into the system yet. Soon as they do, though, we will coordinate that into your financial aid award summary. So you may want to check with your Department of Study, see if they've done that already. If they have, then just give it a little bit of processing time, and then that should show up on your financial aid award summary.
Thank you, Cody. We do have, I'm sorry, Danny. I was thinking ahead because the next question that we have is from Jabri, and she's asking any resources or grants or fellowships for first-year graduate students. And I was thinking, hey, you know who can answer that question? Probably be Cody. So, Cody, do you mind answering that?
I can definitely answer that. Thank you, Noemi. Well, Jabri, that's a great question. There should be a few ways you could go about doing that. I think first and foremost, you'd want to go ahead and talk to your home department to see if they have any resources in terms of external grants or fellowships for graduate students. They're the ones who really have their ear to the ground because each program is unique and special. So I would try going that route first in terms of doing it. I do believe I think it is available for graduate students as well, but the scholarship, we have a small list of scholarships. They could be reviewed at your own leisure as well. I believe the system that they're using now is, gosh, I know I was doing testing on it recently, but thank you, Academic Works. So you'd be applying through Academic Works, where there's a whole list of different scholarships that you might be eligible for. But I do want to, again, refer you back to your home department. They are very strong resources because they can direct you specifically to fellowships and grants that are intended for students that are studying in your field.
Thank you, Cody. Okay, Lori, I think this question is probably best answered by you, and it's from Phoebe. Phoebe wants to know about the health center services fee and why it is requirement for payment when they might already have similar services through their own personal health insurance policy.
Okay, sure. Well, the mandatory health center fee that you'll see listed on your student account is not actually health insurance. That basically funds and creates the Ingham Health Student Health Center on campus and gives you access to the Student Health Center on campus. If something were to happen to you while you're on campus, there's a medical facility for you to go and receive treatment. There are also some other minor services that are provided free of charge with that fee. It is a fee, a mandatory fee charged to all students that attend classes on campus, so it isn't waivable. But again, it is not the health insurance. You will be billed health insurance, and that health insurance is a separate fee that will is eligible to be waived if you have similar coverage that meets the university guidelines. And you should have some information on that. I'm not sure. I know you can go to the health center website and look up insurance, and it'll give you information on how to waive the health insurance. But again, there are going to be 4 mandatory fees associated with your registration if you're at least a half-time student, and one of them is the mandatory health center fee. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Lori. So we have another question from Annie, and she's asking again about her department award. So Annie, I just want to reach out to you and suggest that you might want to call our office just so we can follow up on that specific item. If it looks like you said that you reached out to them and it hasn't been, and it has already been added, and for some reason it's not showing up on your account. So if you'd like, please give us a call. And our phone number is 213-740-4444, and we'd be happy to answer that question specifically so we can look into that and see what might be going on. Now, Annie does have another question, and it's about the medical fee if it includes mental health services. I believe Jessica and Lori can help answer that question. Thank you.
So I believe the actual health center is for physical needs, but we do have a counseling center available on campus. So I would highly suggest that you can even look them up through the USC website and see what the options are to come in and actually speak with someone. But there is a counseling center on campus that you would be able to go and talk to somebody.
Thank you very much, Jessica. So we don't really have any questions right now, but I wanted to see if our very informed and very helpful panelists might have any suggestions or tips for graduate students as they're preparing to apply or preparing to enroll at USC for the fall semester. Do you guys have any best practices that you might want to share with students? Make sure that something that they might want to make sure that they know about or do before the fall semester starts?
I do. All right. So one thing that you may want to do is actually create your own budget, so to speak. A lot of our students, they essentially go based off of the cost of attendance that we calculate for them, which does include rent and personal expenses based off of what you inform us of on the FAFSA. But as Noemi mentioned earlier, a large portion of funding your education is through federal loans, and you want to make sure that you try to keep that amount as low as possible, and a way to do that is to actually create your own budget and kind of compare that to the cost of attendance that we've created for you. And again, you can view that on your FAST account and actually calculate how much you're going to need for rent, for books, how much you would spend on food every single month, so that way you have your own budget and not necessarily borrowing just the maximum amount just because we've calculated that as your cost of attendance. So I think that's one helpful thing that you can actually do. And if you need some assistance doing that, we've partnered up with SALT, which is a money knowledge tool where you can go online and actually create a free account, and they have some budget management tools on there that are free and available for you to utilize to help get that budget going.
Thank you very much, Jessica. I do have another question here from Darlene. She has this question about her bill, which says it's due 7/22, but her loan disbursement will not come until August. What should she do? Does anyone want to answer that question?
I can take that question.
Awesome. Thank you, Jose.
Hi, Darlene. So what I would probably suggest is it may be that the classes that you're enrolling in might be out of sequence with the budget that we have planned for you. So feel free, give us a call. If it is a matter that your classes actually do start earlier, then we'll go ahead and bump forward your disbursement so that you can get those funds beforehand. And then for most of the time, though, we'll go ahead and we have to stand by the 10 days before the start of the class just because it's a Fed reg. But it looks like in this case what will likely happen is that we just have to make an adjustment to your start or end date. But this does bring me to something that most of the students tend to happen. The hard deadline for when the bill is due is very important to follow through, but we also know that sometimes certain life happens and the application process may take a little bit longer than we're used to. What we do want to ensure this, let the students know is that if for one reason or another the delay in payment is as a result of resources or the loan disbursement coming in a little bit late, we are very happy to go ahead. The only negative that will happen is that you'll see finance charges and maybe some late fees applied to it, but our office is very accustomed to that and we'll be happy to remove any late fees or finance charges that you have, so that your funds, when dispersed, do only go to fees that actually are applicable and not any late fees or finance charges. Many of our counselors are well versed in how to process that late fee waiver, so don't get too stuck on that hard deadline. You'll still be able to attend your classes, you'll still be able to attend. You're not going to be dropped for any reason, but just make sure that you do follow up with us once those funds are credited into your account, so that we can be sure to remove any late fees or finance charges that you might receive. Additionally, what I do want to also let the students know is that the loan that you are awarded is available to you for within that academic year. So for one reason or another, let's say you didn't anticipate to have to take out the student loan at the beginning or the start of the semester, but come mid-semester you do need additional funds for whatever reason, those funds are still available to you, so you can still apply for them. Again, you would go to your FAST page, submit a loan request form, master promissory note, interest loan counseling, and then everything will be copacetic and we'll be able to go ahead and process your funds.
I have a comment on that.
Did you have a comment there, Lori?
Yeah,
Yes.
Lori does.
Okay, great.
Also, on the July 22nd date, it's just the cashier's office has a standard billing cycle. And so every student account on USCe.pay currently says the bill is due July 22nd. But you only have a bill due July 22nd if a prior bill was generated. So remember to look in the Your Bills section on the USCe.pay homepage. Every account says July 22, but if you're an incoming student and had no charges that were assessed during the prior billing cycle, then there's nothing due July 22. You wait for the bill that's going to be created on the 23rd, which will have the August 19th date.
Thank you, Lori. That's very helpful to know. Okay, I have another question here. This one's from Lorenzo. His question is, if we are awarded an outside scholarship for tuition, what are the steps to applying the scholarship to our account? First of all, congratulations, Lorenzo, for getting that outside scholarship. And I'm gonna go ahead and ask Cody to let us know what the steps are.
Certainly, thanks Noemi, and again I want to say congratulations to Lorenzo as well. In terms of getting those funds applied to your account, it's just a simple notification procedure. So you can go ahead and either come in person if you find yourself on campus in the next few weeks or so, or even when you arrive for your first day of classes, with the scholarship notification. And if they already sent you the check as well, depending on who it's made payable to, we may need you to endorse it. If you do want to let us know electronically, you can also do so by just sending us a quick email with a scanned copy of the notification. But the main thing is, again, getting us that check. So if you want to mail the check to us with instructions and the notification letter, or just bring it in person, however you choose to do so, you're welcome to bring it to John Hubbard Hall, and we can get that processed to you, or mail it to us as well using the information on the Financial Aid website. The address is 700 Childs Way, Los Angeles, California, and you can go ahead and find more information on the website if you need it.
Thanks, Cody. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move on to to Annie's question, which is, what is the fee for loan disbursement, and will a summary of the session be sent out later, including the last budgeting website name? So I'll answer the last part. Yes, this will be available on our YouTube page later on, so you can go ahead and watch it again, and it'll be organized by questions, so you can fast forward to the question that you need answer or we want to review again. But regarding the loan disbursement fees, I'm going to pass that along to Jose.
Yes, so there is an origination fee for your federal direct unsubsidized federal direct unsubsidized loan. The interest rate, if the disbursement is happening before October 1st, is 1.08%. After October 1st, because of sequestration, there were some changes, so it's going to be 1.069%. And for Graduate Plus loan, the current origination is 4.272 before October 1st and 4.276 after October 1st. And all of this information is outlined on our website.
Thank you, Jose. Okay, so we do have another question from, excuse me, Jay Auntie. and she's asking for a little bit more information about scholarships for graduate students. So, Danny, would you mind answering that question?
Sure, no problem. So specifically for graduate students, the scholarships usually come from the departments they're studying in, or different alumni groups here on campus. Here in the financial aid office, we mainly deal with need-based aid, which for graduate students, unfortunately, is only federal loan funding eligibility. But if you need more information about different scholarships that you may be eligible to, if you go to our website, we have a list of different alumni groups that offer scholarships that can work for graduate students, as well as you can talk to your Department of Study because they usually give out the largest portion of graduate student scholarships.
Thank you, Danny. And I also want to encourage you to follow us on our Twitter page because we also promote scholarships that other outside agencies let us know about. And we share information there on our Twitter page for both undergrad and graduate students. In addition, we do our very best to include these outside scholarships, as was mentioned earlier, on our scholarship portal, which is available through our website under the toolbox. So you can go ahead and log in there. Let's see, we do have another question from Annie. We like Annie. She's got a lot of questions. If we did get an outside scholarship and already notified financial aid office but wanted to keep it towards the housing or book costs, do we have to send the check? Okay, anybody want to volunteer to answer this question?
I can take it, Noemi.
Awesome, thank you, Cody.
All right, so thanks again for the question, Annie. I'm going to approach it cautiously. It's going to actually depend on the nature of the scholarship. Certain scholarships are actually restricted to certain costs, so depending on the nature of your scholarship, it would have explicitly said in your award letter whether or not it was to be put toward tuition exclusively, tuition and fees, or books and other associated costs. So depending on the nature of the scholarship, you may be able to, keep the funds yourself and put it toward book costs. You would still need to notify us of that, just for record-keeping purposes. But again, more times than not, these scholarship agencies prefer to have it applied to tuition. So I'd review the stipulations of the scholarship and based on that, move forward accordingly.
All right, thank you very much, Cody. So right now we don't have any additional questions, but again, I just want to reach out to our panelists and see if we have any further tips before we wrap up this session. And, Lori, do you have some tips?
I do. I have another, I guess something that we see historically with graduate students is that they tend to take several weeks to register for classes. And remember that the settlement deadline, applies to everyone, and the late fees are based on that settlement deadline. So we often see grad students register for 4 units, 8 units, and then settle. Aid come in and they settle the bill on the 19th, and then the following week they add another class. The thing to remember is that when they're doing so, adding or dropping classes, that for the first 3 weeks from the 19th through the 2nd of September, late fees are going to be assessed. So every Friday, if a class is added and there are new fees on the student account, that is to be resolved. So in the process of adding and dropping classes, just always review the your account status of your student account and see are there additional funds due, and if so, either talk to financial aid about how those are going to be resolved or make arrangements to resolve those before late fees are assessed on a weekly basis. Remember, 3 weeks of late fees until you can no longer add classes.
Okay, thank you very much, Lori. Okay, we do have another question from Danielle, and she's asking about the Perkins loan program. Do I have a volunteer to answer that question? If not, I can answer that. I'll take it then. Okay, so the Perkins loan program, there have been a lot of changes with the Perkins loan program recently with regards to federal regulations, and essentially the Perkins loan program is no longer graduate students are no longer eligible for that program. So while USC does administer it, we can no longer award this form of aid to graduate students. It's an unfortunate change, and in fact, the regulations are such that the Perkins program will be sunsetting essentially in the next couple of years. So I'm sorry, Danielle, no Perkins loans for graduate students at this time. Okay, I do have another question, and this is from Phoebe, and it's regarding work study. If you receive a work study award but are unfortunately unable to secure a job, how does that work? So Jessica, would you mind answering that question?
Sure. Hi Phoebe, great question. So we first really want to encourage you to try to find a work study job, just because again that keeps your loan debt at a smaller amount. But unfortunately, if you're not able to secure a job on campus, you can give our office a call or even just write us a letter or go online to your FAST account and actually submit an appeal to convert your work study to loan eligibility. Just keep in mind it typically won't convert to Stafford loan eligibility. It would be converted to graduate plus loan eligibility. And that's just additional loans that you would be able to borrow, which is why I had mentioned at the beginning, you really want to try to seek out a work study position so that way you keep that loan debt a little bit lower each semester.
Thanks a lot, Jessica. Okay, we don't have any other questions, so I'm going to reach out to our team here to see if we have any other tips for graduate students. If not, we'll wait another minute or so, see if we have any questions from our lovely viewers. Any tips that you all would like to share?
I was actually going to ask Lori another question.
Okay, great.
If you can actually talk about eRefund a little bit.
Okay. So also on your ePay homepage, when you log it, which you can access either via a direct login to Oasis or MyUSC, you log into ePay to view the billing system. On that page will be an option to enroll in eRefund. And eRefund is just the most efficient way to get your any eligible refund back to you. What you'll do is click on that and designate a checking or savings account to receive the refund. The cashier's office after August 17th will be issuing refunds of Title IV aid and any credit balances on the student account. So if you have designated a checking or savings account, they'll look at that refund list on a daily basis and just deposit it into your account, the account that you've designated. So please, we encourage you to enroll in eRefund. It'll help you get the funds you need for your living expenses or your expenses outside of the university in the most efficient manner.
And then I'll also add just a little tip. For a lot of graduate students, and we usually get this in cycles, but one of the main reasons at the beginning of every single semester as to why your funds do not disperse to your ePay account is that the enrollment that you reported to us on your enrollment and housing form does not match your actual enrollment for the semester, and then you have to go through an appeal process in order for us to change your budget and update your budget. So I would recommend that anytime you submit your enrollment and housing verification form, that you just print out a PDF of it, just Control-P and save it as a PDF before you actually submit it to our office. And if you are planning to change your enrollment, that you just submit a new enrollment and housing verification form, and this will just be a smooth process for your funds to just disperse to your account.
Thank you, Jessica. We do have 2 more questions from Annie, and the first is about applying for work study within the MSW program, and I'll go ahead and quickly answer that one. You do need to work through the program in order to receive funds for work study, and we work with the social work program, and they let us know who will be needing work study, and they essentially make that determination. And the second question is about the Perkins loan and the federal direct unsubsidized loan. And she's just asking if they're the same, and they are not. The Perkins loan is essentially a subsidized loan, but as I mentioned, it's no longer available for graduate students. So it's a great program. It's unfortunate it's no longer available to graduate students, and that was the federal government's decision and not our own. So we're sorry about that. And
Noni?
Yes?
Yes, I just wanted to add, the Graduate Plus loan is also an unsubsidized loan, so interest is accruing on that as soon as it's dispersed, just for clarification.
Oh, thanks. That's really important. Thank you, Jose. We do have another question from Jabri. Oh, it's so nice. She just says that this is very helpful. And she has a question: if I decide to take courses during the summer, how does aid work?
I can take that.
Semesters? Yeah, that's a great question.
Very good question. Essentially, for graduate students, it's not much different than any other term here at USC. You would be awarded the maximum amount that you're eligible for in federal direct unsubsidized loan, and the option to go ahead and supplement that with either a Graduate Plus loan or a private loan. Very, very little is different. What may change is whether the summer will be considered part of this academic year or next academic year, but we take care of that situation. In terms of the funding options, it's very much the same as the fall and the spring.
Thank you, Jose. So I don't think we have any more questions, and I really want to thank everyone for participating and for sharing your thoughts and your questions with us. We would love to have your feedback. Go ahead and leave a comment if you can on the... Oh, we do have one more question, and I'll just go ahead and answer. It's from Jay Yanti, and it's regarding if we receive discounts as USC employees for our education. We technically do not receive discounts, although there is a tuition assistance benefit and there are certain regulations and rules about it. You can find out more about the benefits of being a USC employee at the USC Benefits webpage, and it explains the TAB program, the tuition assistance benefit, which there's no real discount. It's just sort of covering a portion of the tuition. Okay. Oh, wait. Okay, Annie has another question. Annie wants to know when might be a good time to start considering taking additional summer or winter classes in regards to aid.
I can take it.
Okay, Jose.
Though, depending on once you receive your financial aid package, you'll be able to see whether summer is already included as part of your financial aid or as part of your academic year. Typically, if it's not already and you're thinking about taking summer courses, that usually starts around February or March. So February or March of 2017 is when you'll likely be thinking about what courses you'll be taking and applying for summer aid if it's not already included as part of this current academic year.
Thanks a lot, Jose. All right, so again, thank you very much, and we appreciate your attention. And we're going to go ahead and say goodbye to everybody. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.